my ellipse is becoming incorrect, so I need to straighten up that line. Remember that all of your verticals, though they are diagonal, they're still going to be somewhat straight with the edge of your paper, that mechanical edge that we talked about with drawing. All right, so that's pretty good. Now I want to mark in where I have my yellow, and I don't really have any yellow, so I'm going to go in for my mediums first. I'm going to mix in the reds, because what red does is it will cause everything to kind of come forward. So I'm going to mix that red with that blue just a little bit. I want to mix it with a little bit of white. My white's really sticky, so I know I want some more flow aid so that I can make just kind of a warm red place to pull this forward here, okay? And I know I want to pull that edge forward. All right, so all this is going to dry. I may paint it out. I've got a really nice shadow over here with the blue that I'm going to add back in. I'm going to probably paint out the red underneath here with my glazes. You'll also notice that I'm going over on top of that white, and I am coming all the way to the edge of my objects, okay? So in my glazing, this is the first of my layers. Now let's say that I'm done with glazing. I've got to let this dry. I want to show you the yellow, but I just don't have time right now. And I want to make sure that this surface is really kind of straight. Also, I'm going to mix up that color again, grab a little bit of the red, you know, and some gel, and go back into it. I want to mix that color again because it's all going to be in behind. Notice too that I do not have my table covered, which is a problem. All right, so I got to move my bowls over. All right, now then. All right, so I've just about gotten all this painted in. While I am waiting for this to dry, and I'm probably going to put some yellow in here before we finish this particular glazing demonstration. If I could, I'd get it to dry with a blow dryer, and then I could just really show you. But I may have to do that like at home with my palette, and then hopefully I'll have what I need while Mr. Fergus is recuperating. All right, so let's watch. Let's say that I want to go ahead and maybe go ahead and do my impasto cup. I want to make sure for that I am really picking up some paint. I want fat paint for that cup. So I'm going to just paint in where I have that white of that cup. I want it to be really thick. I'm going to get some more black and then some gloopy this, okay, and some more black. And I'm looking where that dark is, and I'm just going to add that dark in. I want really super fat paint. Once again, I'm going to get in the blobs of white, and I'm just going to add that blob of white. Okay, this is just a really fun way to paint. Those impressionists and expressionists that kind of knew what they wanted to do. They were taking the impression of that. You can see I have, hopefully I have some globs here, and I'm going to leave those globs, and I'm even going to pick up some more of my really kind of dry globs and add them back down. All right, so I want my shadow and all of it to be on there, and I'm just going to kind of let that rest. All right, and I'm going to go and get my yellow in just a minute, but before I do, let me just show you, I kind of want some intense red in the background because I think it would be really fun to have maybe some intense. I either want it up here with the white, maybe this, you know, I'll change it up a little bit. I want to make sure that I get some gel medium so that it works away. You see that I'm not using at all the flow aid for this because I don't really care if the paint like moves along there. And I'm working all the paint out of my brush, okay? All right, so I really like these strokes. Maybe I'll make the table this time kind of a blue, and I may take some of that green in there because it's a complement. And I'm going to come back in with black because I hate that green. It's the ugliest green in the universe. I know, bright crust, blah, 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 whatever. All right, so I'm going to mix that in there and come right up against. I know that I can come back in and make my shadow later on top. I may want to lighten, truthfully, some of this with some yellow. You may see me do that because, see, I don't have any yellow. I don't have any yellow left. For this, can you see it's wet, but it's also, it's super, super, duper, 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 like thick. Really thick paint. This is probably one of my more favorite ways to paint, is that expressive way to paint. So I'm going to mix in my black. You'll notice too that I'm not wiping off any of the colors. I'm just going to come in here and get some black and then some blue, and then I'm going to get that blob of red in there because I want to add a dark like shadow around in my red, because I remember that we talked about how this is Baroque and we want kind of a spotlight effect, and we'll have like a spotlight effect on this after we get through adding all that black. Okay, so this has been really long, and this is me talking for a really long time. Hopefully what I can do is that I can continue to show you through this. I'm going to take a cup home. Alright, so let's watch me clean my brush. So you see I have all these blobs on here. I'm just going to take that wet paint, and even though it's just the yuckiest color, I just hate wasting paint by washing it down the sink. So I'm just going to put that yucky color down there. And do you see my cup? All of a sudden there's my cup. And then I'm going to add in my shadow. I'm going to get that black and that blue and add in where my shadow is. It's going here. Once again, same shadow, same direction and everything. And I'm going to clean this up. And guys, you'll get to see me do the rest of this hopefully later, where I'll come back in and paint my cup here, my yellows in there, and then put in my particulars. So I'm going to grab a baby wipe. You guys don't get baby wipes because they're a lot more costly than a filter. So use a filter. Take in, I'm going to wipe some of this paint off from here. I'm going to wipe the paint off like so, okay? Making sure that to get all that paint out of there that I can. Then I'm going to grab my bowl, okay? And you'll notice how I'm washing that paint out of there. All right, so I want to make sure that I get all the paint out. You can see that it's beginning to rinse clearer and clearer and clearer. If you've ever had somebody not clean their brush, then you know what it feels like. So clean those brushes out really, really beautifully. Make sure that you put it in the water and it's like, oh, look, in the Feral Mrs. Fergus, there's no paint. So good for you. All right, thanks a bunch. We're going to have another lesson tomorrow.